You're good.
Yep. Have you got something to work with?
Yeah. You should do a pretty good at their fingers. One of those days.
Okay.
Where's your eyes?
We're still expecting. Okay, so it's now what, it's 5 minutes long? Okay, so we'll stop 3 minutes for that.
Not very good to have train station.
All right, so welcome everybody. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Bell, for making this possible. If you ever miss any of these, you can find all of the sessions on our YouTube channel. So today we have Jim Slavin from the Delphi Group. I had the pleasure of meeting Jim last summer, and every time I see him, I look forward, running into him, because he's always very positive. He's got a big smile, and he's just a joy to be around. So Jim's been involved with Chambers of Commerce for years. He spent 10 years on the board of directors of the Renfrew Chamber. And hopefully today he can take some of his experience away with you. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Jim Slavin of the Delphi Group. Thank you, Chad.
And Chad's going to be taking pictures today. I don't know if we need waivers if people are in the shot. As far as I'm concerned, I'm good. But you might want to check on that. How does that go, Chad?
I think you're public, so.
Yeah, okay. All right, thanks, Chad. That's a great introduction. What happens with this? It goes on to the internet as a clickable.
Yeah, it's live streaming right now,
Oh, really?
and it will be on our YouTube channel afterwards for everybody to watch if they can't make it down.
Excellent. Okay, well, thanks, Chad. And thank you to, actually, I want to say thank you to Salwa, who came up with the idea of lunchbox leadership. She has it out on the whiteboard in the main office. Instead of lunchbox learning topic leadership, she just says lunchbox learning leadership. So I thought we'll put it up that way. And of course, Bell, who makes this all happen. I'm not sure how, Chad, but they're as a sponsor of the list. I bet all of you now, but there will be a few others coming. Maybe as many as 12 is what we had registered. I'm billed as a speaker, but I'm not really so much of a speaker as a facilitator. And it's my job today, because this is learning, to help you learn about the topic of leadership between now and 10 to 1. We'll knock out the questions. And work will be done at 3 minutes to the hour by that clock, and then I hang around. So that's sort of what happens at the end of the day. And I've designed the workshop as interactive. So for those of you who have food, just eat away, drink away, do what you do it normally, and I won't put you on the spot with a question or something like that. And if you want to speak with your mouth full, that's allowed. So that's how that goes. But there will be questions at the end too. As I mentioned, 10 minutes. So what you have in front of you, thanks for filling out the 10 cards, that'll help me remember names, is a handout. So there's the 10 card, there's the handout, and then there's the Business Minded magazine. And the reason I put that out is I'm referencing the Business Minded article that Beverly Lumstead printed in there. It's also in your handout. Hello, new person. I'm Jim Slavin.
Hi, Joanne.
Joanne. Hi, Joanne. Nice to meet you. Joanne Consulting, Joanne?
Yes.
Your business? Yes. Okay. That's a very general term, I realize. So, I thought we'd take like literally a minute or two at the most and just go around, maybe just a quick 15-second introduction. Who you are, where you come from, what you do, where you come from. Actually, let me put it more specifically. Who you are and who you lead. What does that look like in terms of your leadership or topic? Can I start with you, Bill? Is that okay?
I guess so. Bill with Ethel Little of Eagle Janitorial. We just service the Peterborough area in commercial cleaning.
And you have a little team of
7 employees.
7 employees. Great. And Joanne, when you're set up, I'll come back to you. What time to go ahead?
I'm Tanya Cran. I'm the General Manager of Peterborough CIDC, and I manage a staff of 4. They provide support to businesses through business counseling, and we also have a lending program. Sometimes when the bank may find it too risky venture, we're an alternative lending source, and it's funded through the federal government.
Great. Okay. And if I may, there's a lot of people in the community look to you for leadership.
Absolutely.
not just your.
Yeah, we do strategic planning as well.
Suzanne?
Yes, my name is Suzanne Keller. I'm the executive director, and we call ourselves the Yes Shelter for Youth and Families, because we actually serve families as well as youth. We're an emergency shelter. We also run a transitional facility, and I lead about a staff of 7 full-time people, 8 part-time people who work in the schools, the transitional services we provide, bookkeeping and general shelter services.
Thanks, Suzanne. If I may, your staff help youth who lack shelter and learn personal leadership, if I'm not mistaken. Is that not part of your? Yes. So we're going to touch on that as we go. Tori, how about you next?
Sure. My name is Tori Owen. I'm the general manager of Peterborough Symphony and also coordinate for the youth orchestra. So, in a sense, I actually lead mostly volunteers, so, chief cook and washers at the same time. So that means there's a volunteer component that I lead, and to some degree I lead volunteer musicians, or in the say of the youth orchestra, in learning things from how do I act at a concert, or how do I call someone to thank them for a donation.
So you help them become skilled at doing what they do. Mm-hmm. You also have a board, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. I
Do they look to you for leadership?
I work with 2 volunteer boards. That's right.
Yes. Great. Thanks. Are you ready, Suzanne?
Joanne.
Joanne, I'm sorry.
No problem. I'm with the Investments Group. We help people with their businesses, financing, making sure they have the right insurance in places, individual or group insurance, mortgages as well. So quite diverse from start to finish.
I know I look to my financial advisor for leadership in that respect. Is that the main reference group relative to your leadership?
Yes.
Bob, your shot.
I'm Bob Tyne. I work for Joanne's Place, and I'm more influencing about 12, 14 people rather than actually leading them.
I understand exactly, influencing, but they do look to you for some your influence.
Yeah.
Staying on the way as far as not influencing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Gloria Whitfield. I'm an independent associate with Legal Shield. We are to the legal system what your health card is to the medical system. We have literally turned the legal system upside down so that we have access to quality lawyers at an affordable rate. And we actually do it every day for 40-some years.
And I love to Gloria to lead that workshop. We've only gone once, but I'm going to go back if we can get our
Absolutely.
schedules to work.
Next Thursday.
But that was a wonderful workshop that you led that day. I really felt like that was that there was good synergy.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Emma Ellie, and I'm a HR consultant. This is HR Fusion. So I help organisations going through organisational change management approaches from the strategic aspect through to operational tactics they will take to help develop their workforce. In terms of leadership, mine will be my client base. So it's much of influencing and leading through the initiatives I take.
Wonderful introduction, thanks. And Sue, hi.
Hi.
I'm Jim Slavin.
What's the question, Jim?
Nice to meet you. It's just, who are you? Who looks to you for leadership? That's all I am.
Okay, well, I wear a number of hats. From my home perspective, we have a team of people that support our daughter with special needs to live her best life. So in that realm, there's about 10 people that look to me for leadership. In my business life, I have on an ongoing basis anywhere from direct contact with about 30 to 50 people a week, but I had a team of 9,700 people in my network marketing team. And I train on a call once a week that goes out internationally. So
you're leading a lot of learning process.
Yes, but always open to ways that I can improve in each of those areas.
Yes. Good. Okay.
The
Well,
influence that I have on others.
An influence is a nice term. We'll kind of keep that as we go to the hill. I'll put that term up here because it's so nice to hear another word in my sort of vocabulary around this topic. And thanks for introducing that. I'm Jim Slavin, I'm with the Delphi Group, and the people who look to me for leadership are definitely my clients. One of my major clients is Environmental Group, that's Unlimited Canada actually, and they have embedded the leadership program that I've taken this workshop out of into their leadership development across Canada. And a whole pile of those managers have been through this elements of this training. But there are always individuals who are contacting me, and it's my job to help them apply the learning. So I'm a learning and leadership coach in that respect. In my community, I'm a new guy. I haven't got too many leadership roles yet. But certainly in my family, I'm the guy that leads and sings songs. Because I'm a musician in my free time, in my spare time. Like Chad. Chad, you want to introduce yourself? I don't overlook you because you're a key part of the show here.
Yeah, I've worked at the Chamber of Commerce for just about 15, 16 months. So I help members with marketing, that could be trade shows, campaigns, connecting to other members essentially is my bottom line. So if anybody ever needs me, just send me an email, call me, I'm always around here.
Yeah, I've got to write, you lead those short-term the events, right? You're kind of putting that together, right? People really need you, and that's over. Yeah. So a lot of leadership can be kind of ad hoc that way, too. It doesn't have to be an extended long-term thing. It can be those special projects that come up. Okay. I think what we'll do is jump right into some of the worksheets you have, because why not? That seems like a good place to be. Checking my notes here. I always invent a new way of facilitating this topic, so that's the way I go at it. So I want you to think of a particular leader who has influenced you in a positive way, someone that you looked up to, and put up 2 or 3 qualities here that you can make a record of this on the second page in your handout. What were some of the qualities or behaviors that made this person particularly excellent in your mind? And let's get some of them up here just to capture these ideas. So, when you bring that person to mind, Victoria, go ahead.
Someone that I discovered was actually a good boss. Because I had a lot of experience with good bosses. I discovered. So this is a good boss. This person trusted me.
So trusted people, that's a fun name, as opposed to something different. A couple more. If you've got enough.
A couple qualities. A listener.
A listener, a good listener, right? Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Okay, who else wants on the list here? What are some of these qualities or behaviors that you saw in this person? Yes.
Dedication.
Who won?
To have the training, persistent follow-ups, making sure that you're.
Okay, so dedicated. Okay, so dedicated actually to the task or to their role, right, or to what they're expected to do. Dedicated to the vision. Is that too big a picture, or is that where you're going?
No, it's the dedicated position.
To the vision. Okay, because what follows out of that, being dedicated to the vision, is all the details around who forms that, who creates that vision, the roles. And their own part in it. Right?
So consistent behaviour across, the board with everybody.
Very consistent.
Consistent throughout his working methods.
So no favorites kind of on that as well.
Yeah, he knew sort of the strengths of people, but he didn't jump around. Once you got a plan, it was plan, work the plan.
Okay. Consistent as opposed to unpredictable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of consistency in their systems.
Consistent behaviour.
Mm-hmm.
Leadership behaviour.
So not reactive and not kind of what what's the leader going to do? Because if you're some kind of a leader, it's kind of like where we're going now.
Yeah.
Whereas here you have a sense of consistency where we're going.
Direction.
Yeah, in direction, consistency in direction. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily deserve a capital.
So kind of along that line, somebody that knows how to respond versus react.
Yes, responsive. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not reactive. Actually, the flip side of reactive, responsive, is proactive. Is that okay, Sue?
Yeah.
Responsive and proactive, and that goes back to what Emma just said, the planning piece. A good planner, because leaders do plan. In fact, the statistic on that, leaders contribute whatever, was it 82%? It's constant study, and leaders say they attribute much of their success to planning. So,
I would also say empowering.
empowering, what a great word. Oh, I could not, that to me is absolutely critical term when it comes to team building. If you don't have empowered team members, you don't get synergy. Because everybody's kind of holding themselves in. Whereas empowered to make decisions and to plan, they're part of the task. Fantastic term for all of us. Any other ideas?
I think where that comes from is a genuine belief in others.
Belief in others, yeah. Trusted people, believes in others, yeah. Yeah, if you don't believe in people, why are they still working for you? Is one question to ask. Because they know it. So good leaders deal with it. If they don't believe in the person, they're having to talk about that. I'm losing my sense of trust and belief in you. And as your leader, we need to talk about that, because if it's not right for us, we have to address it.
Organize and look at change.
Organize, so that's part of being dedicated and consistent, but certainly organize, but that willing to change, open to change, open, willing, as opposed to stuck in some paradigm. In the private sector, leaders who are not willing to change, somebody beating them on. Yeah. Okay, pretty good list. Which time I should say how much time I allowed on that. Yeah, that's a pretty good start. Anything missing though? This isn't a right or wrong. As far as I'm concerned, it's a great list. Somebody else want one more thing up there?
Being collaborative.
Collaborative. So inclusive. So they're not out there leading on their own. They're saying, here's the vision. Let's get together and collaborate on how we're going to do it, or whatever. There's inclusion. Kind of, and because they believe in people and empower them, they bring them in to plan together in a proactive way to be sure that we're all going in consistently. We can put all that together.
Just one final thought is, it's somebody that looks to the gifts and strengths and capacities of the people that are in their team and knows how to shine the light on those things rather than on their inefficiencies.
Yeah, okay, so knows the capacities, skills, right? Abilities, right? Abilities, I'll put it that way. Is that okay, Sue? Of their
Shines a light on those instead of...
okay, knows and sort of deploys, right? Gets them out there. Deploys the capacity and abilities of the team. Excellent. Terrific. Yeah, and that is sort of how you get to organization. But there's a lot of training out there about how to, lead others and how to make the organization, go where you want to. But that's kind of getting the cart before the horse. The horse is you, right? And so we're going to build it around that sort of three-level approach. Okay, I want you to take a minute to put an arrow now. Whatever you've listed there, it's not the ones that really do apply to you. Any other comment you might want to stick in the margin here. And particularly make a note of which ones can I build on. I'm not saying that it's a weakness, so much as which one of these, for me, is one that I can take it up a notch. You'll decide how. Right now, just that, that's a key piece, but I haven't been setting aside enough time for the planning part of the job. Or there's one person on my team that is feeling disempowered, and I haven't really done anything about it. It's those kinds of you decide, and you're not going to take that part. Everybody got at least one? I hope. Because we can all find ways to improve how we do. We carry out these behaviors or live up to these qualities. Thanks for that introduction again about the positive piece, Chad, because I just don't have any airtime for, the black hat, unless we put it in black hat brackets and talk about the negative side of it. it's very helpful to talk about what are we striving for, because in leadership, you need that positive expectancy, by God. Because if you don't, if it's negative expectancy, guess what? It happens. Any of you who've built a business, you know how that works, or a career. Expect what you want in order to get it. Okay, we're going to go to another worksheet now. Is everybody good to do that? It takes cash, right, to be an excellent leader, and I'm not talking about money. That's one of these mental models that you will find may come back to you. A nice little summary of knowledge, attitudes, skills, and habits. And if you look at the next page, there's an article here that Beverly Lomasaud published in his Business Minded magazine, and I thought, since I was talking about it, I'd see if he'd drop in some. So just before you got here, there's Business Minded magazine, just came out, it features Chamber of Commerce for this year, and it has this article in it. And I just give it to you because there's some bullets in here that you can reference. Leadership is soft skills. It's people skills. So I want to go there now in terms of organizing some ideas around what are the knowledge, attitudes, skills, and habits that we need to be effective leaders. The other thing about leadership, it is a learned role. There are people who think, oh, somebody's a born leader. Well, they may have been born with the opportunity to learn leadership and got it at the father and mother's knee. However, you do learn it. And if a person hasn't learned it and wants to, they can. If they've already got it and they want to take it up a notch, they can learn the next level. So leadership is very much about understanding what are the knowledge, attitudes. And notice that you practice a skill many times, it becomes a habit that I want to build on in order to be more effective as a leader. So what I'd like to do now is list, maybe you will go to this list, but maybe there'll be some new ones, get real specific. What does a leader need in terms of knowledge, and be as specific as we can, to be an excellent leader? What are some of the knowledge categories? And if it doesn't fit in knowledge, we'll make it fit somewhere else. So let's start with knowledge. What does the person need to know to be an excellent leader?
They have to have that vision.
Where is the company going? So company,
They
organization.
have to be able to share that vision clearly.
Yeah, okay. So yes, and that's a skill, right? Steering. So the knowledge is the organization vision. Again, I'm not looking for right answers here. I'm just looking for your answers. So, and if it doesn't fit somehow, I'll say, how does that fit? We'll figure it out. So don't worry about saying the wrong thing, because that's going to happen. So knowledge, yeah. Where are we going? What's the vision? Because one of a leader's key role is to know that vision and then communicate it to everybody else.
No.
Joanne. Product, yeah. Product service. Just to know what do we do? Why are we here? As an organization or as a family, right? In your case, if I may, Joanne, the service you provide for your family member. That's a key piece. The leader needs to be very key about what that looks like.
Should know that people.
Okay, great.
Should know that.
The people. Yeah, and let's get more specific. What are two things they need to know about the people?
You should have strengths of that team.
Mm-hmm. And this is individual. So know individual strengths. What else?
Know how to capacity.
And then, what are their limits? You know, for instance, this person's got 4 children at the age of 8. She may have less capacity than the woman who's at home and who is, has another kind of lifestyle. Individual strengths and capacity. So knowing individuals on a personal level, that's absolutely key. The other piece around that is knowing their motivations. Because everybody's different. Let's get one more on your knowledge. What else might you need to know in order to be an effective leader?
Well, beyond what your team brings, knowing what you bring. As well.
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness.
There's a concept of emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And a big piece of that is self-awareness. You can tell if somebody has self-awareness if they have a bit of a sense of humor about themselves. People who lack a sense of humor about themselves usually, they're not really getting it, you know? So, you know, those moments when you're kind of, whoa, I said that. But self-awareness is a key part of leadership and all this. Know yourself. Okay, let's move on. Anybody open up? Attitude, skills, or habits. What are some great attitudes to have, some skills to polish, and some habits to internalize? We're going to be a good leader. What do you think?
Honesty.
Honesty, the habit of being, what's that? Habit?
Honest, direct, and didn't.
Is that, what is it? A habit, an attitude, a habit, a skill? What is it? Honesty. Seems to be attitude.
There's the attitude.
Yeah. So you're going to say something else? No? Okay. So honesty. Just an attitude of, the other way to think of an attitude is, that's one of those words, you know, attitude. Think of it as a habit of thinking. It helps. Because notice attitudes are happening up here. So if the person's habit of thinking is to be honest, they're going to catch themselves. Notice they don't reactively tell a lie. They proactively say, what are my values? And then they make the choice to be honest and genuine and concrete. And it may be hard, but you do it because honesty is far better than the lie. Or notice, just kind of not saying anything is also a lie. So honesty is really what that open frankness. It's a value in the Delphi group. Among as colleagues, we are open and frank with one another. Not in a rude, but in a one-on-one kind of way. Okay, another attitude, skill, or habit. Let's work. Go ahead, Susan.
I think being an ongoing learner and being open to acknowledging mistakes. Like,
Yes. Oh, okay. So acknowledging mistakes. Is that a skill or is it a what is it? Where does that fit? And then the ongoing learner is two. Ongoing learner is habit, right? Sort of, yeah. So they're just in the habit of ongoing learning. Oh, okay, what else is there to learn? That's one of the reasons that everybody's here today, I would say. But the other one, lost my mind. What does Suzanne say? You got it?
Oh, about being willing to admit you've made a mistake.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's been an error, but just looking at that and bringing it up and moving along.
I think that's a communication skill, if I'm not mistaken. Is that a good place to put it? Okay, the skill of recognizing, you said admit it, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
It's not about other people's mistakes, it's about their mistakes. So recognizing it. Admitting mistakes. Because one of the things about leadership is it's risky. Very risky. If you're not leading, you're probably not taking if you're not taking risks, you're probably not leading. If you've planned, it's not like it's uncalculated risk. It's proactively thought through risk before you do it. And if it doesn't work out, you have an example of that, Suzanne? Where someone, you or you saw it happen, where a leader admitted a mistake, maybe yourself. Don't mind, but where do you want to go?
You know, it's funny because it's more the opposite that comes to mind. When all the staff are aware that there's been an error, or that you just keep plowing forward even though it's not working, and that you're not going to stop because nobody wants to lose space. So the leadership won't lose space. So I see more the opposite, and then pretty much.
Yeah.
But I mean, certainly I've been in staff meetings where they're just said, I was thinking this is the way it would work. It doesn't seem to be turning out.
Good example. Yeah, I've seen in delegations where a leader asks someone to take on a task, recognizing the level of challenge that's involved. I need you to take over the public speaking part of the business, and the person, okay, I'll do that. And then it just doesn't work out, because it turns out that they have some paranoia. And then the leader says, you know what? We knew, that's my decision. We agreed, but you know what? It's not the right thing, so let's take a different approach. That's it. Okay. Other habits, attitudes, skills. We put a lot up here. I'm not looking for the right ones. Just what?
How about integrity?
Integrity is a beautiful word, because it's this. If you think of the opposite, disintegrity or disintegrate, things are falling apart. Integrity is everything's kind of coming together. Kind of fits in all of them, in a way, doesn't it? It's an internal thing, though. We'll put it up here. Integrity certainly is an attitude. If I'm not displaying integrity, it's a skill as well. But skills are about behaviors. What are some of the behaviors that leaders show? What are some of the skills? What is she even doing? Think of the communication area. For instance, listening, right? The listening skill. Let's put that one.
They go and talk beyond what's necessary as a skill, because not everybody does that.
They go beyond what's necessary?
Yeah, like usually you're helping a client, you don't want to do any more, because that's not your job.
Oh, I see.
You're taking care to the end to make sure you got the full end result.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's a thoroughness, and actually that's all attitude stuff, I think. Because they're kind of results oriented, right? What does this look like when we are done? What's the vision, right? So the results oriented, and therefore thorough in their approach and their attitude. But then there's that skill. So the skill of follow through. I'm kind of processing your idea here tonight. Is that okay? Yeah. Did I get it? Okay. So the follow through piece is a key skill for a leader. Yes, Tori.
Really basic, matching the problem or the challenge with the team member that's most appropriate.
Yes, okay, so matching the task with the person, putting the right person in the right job, that's a skill. If I may, is that a good way to put it? Right person, right job. Yeah. Any other suggestions here on skills, habits, and attitudes? Yes.
I'm not sure where it fits in, but a real leader will always back up the person that's willing to step forward and to take the risk.
They are supportive.
They're very supportive of their team, and I also think that they know, they understand the value that they or their goods or services bring to the marketplace.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, yes. So it's not just knowing the product or service, but the value. Yeah. The value proposition that goes with that. Yeah. Yeah. That knowledge kind of fits with sort of customer knowledge, but it's not just customer knowledge. It's the needs. I'm gonna. Yeah. I'll put it under habits. There's more room. They're in the habit of understanding the needs of the people on their team. They're listening. In fact, when a person says, what I really need today, that's when they're tuning in. Whenever anyone says, what I really need, whatever comes next, the leader knows exactly, that they act on that. So understanding the needs of particularly their direct reports, right? Or their team, the people around them. Because by knowing those needs, they can then be supportive. And once you're supportive, that frees the person up to look after the customer. Correct, Bob? And that's where you influence insofar as, I know you need some time off this afternoon at 3 o'clock. Take it. What are the tasks that will get done? And we'll cover for that, make sure it gets looked after. But that person comes back to the next day because they've dealt with whatever their issue was they needed to deal with. And in that sense, you're influencing and supporting by doing the right thing. You can probably put some other habits up there. What's a good communication habit? We've got the skill of listening, but what's the habit? If you're a good listener, what's the habit you have around that? I'm not sure what it is, but you're just in the habit.
Is that caring? Mm-hmm. Caring, understanding?
Yeah, you're in the habit of just double checking. It's the follow through. So caring to understand. It's not like I think I got it. Let's double check, and they ask questions. So they have the skill of asking questions. Notice if they're asking questions, what happens next? If you sincerely ask a question that you don't know the answer to, it's insulting to ask a question that you don't know the answer to. Insulting yourself. What are you doing that? But you ask a question, what happens next? You ask the question. Yeah, you're listening. What's the person going to say? So it's not just probing questions so much as open-ended questions. How can we do a better job on that part of your task that we're not doing now? What do you see and what we might do there? What are your ideas? What you might do possibly with someone who's in a commercial establishment, they've got a problem, they don't, I mean, and you say, well, what's your solution? I mean, is that typical for you?
Yeah, just interactions.
Yeah.
Each other's thinking. Sometimes I have an answer that I think might work for them, but they want to try something different.
What you ask first, and notice when you're being creative, you're looking for those, the whole idea of great new ideas. He was over here, open and willing to change. And by asking that person's opinion, you find out they may come up with a better idea.
Sometimes they.
That's right. And in that sense, you're being empowering, because you're empowering them to come up with solutions. If they're always coming to you, now you have a disempowered, dependent person, which is probably the lowest on that continuum. You know how that goes? Very dependent people, they come to you every time for answers, whatever the challenge is. We want them to become independent, so that they can then make decisions on their own. But you need a team, and notice the target in any of your people development is to get to, you know, some of you know what I mean about your interdependence. And that's where two or more independent people work well together. Now you've got interdependence. But independent people can get off in their own little corner and doesn't really know what they're doing, they don't cooperate very well.
I think that's a great testament to the idea that great leaders macromanage.
Macromanagement.
Instead of,
yeah.
It allows them to instill a workplace culture, but still leaves room for self-development, where that usually, you know, squashes somebody's creativity pretty quickly if they're being micromanaged.
And they leave the micromanagement to people do the job.
Yep.
Hands off. Okay, pretty good list. I want to be sure that we do well here and have time for questions. I think it's better to kind of pack them in, or tack them in at the end. So what I'd like you to do now is make use of that sheet. There's more we can put up here, but this is a really good start. So which one of these knowledge, attitudes, skills, habits do you want to build on? So make a note on the margin. Just take a couple minutes to add to that list. Or at least make your commitment around that list. Look for a strength. It's always better to build on a strength than try and correct a weakness. If you work hard on a weakness, maybe you're a 2 out of 10, you might get it up to a 4. The leverage value of a 4 isn't so high. If you take a strength, it's like a 6 or 7 already, get it to a 9, tremendous value. So look at your strengths in your leadership cache. And I suggest this, and build on that, or make a commitment. What am I going to do? The other thing that, just before we leave this, is the cache model. It's in that article there, but it's kind of, you think of this as a buoy marker floating in the Tonga River. There's the channel. Okay, see those little things floating out there? And if you divide it vertically, the knowledge and the skills are up here. They're out there, they're deployed where they can be used, and knowledge of customers and skills to serve them or whatever the situation is. The attitudes and habits are kind of invisible. You can't really see those. You see the behaviors, the skills, but you don't see this stuff. You know from having hired people who have great knowledge and skills. Wow, look at this resume. But then when he started, he discovered they've got some attitudes around coworkers or some habits that don't work so well. This is the ballast that keeps the knowledge and skills deployed out there where you need them to be. People who lack this tend to capsize, and the knowledge and skills are kind of get around and all the nonsense that comes with, I hired the wrong person, I put the wrong person in the wrong job. Now, as a leader, you too can capsize if you're not careful. If you have an attitude of, I don't really believe that person, or a habit of trying to micromanage, thanks, Jeff, then you may indeed be very knowledgeable and skilled about your people, but all they see, their perception is, that's micromanaging. I know he's a good listener, but then he told me what to do, or whatever. So that's another mental model to use, if you will. One more quick exercise, but let's have a question. Anybody got a burning question or comment they want to throw out right now that we address before I go to the next piece? Good? Okay. All right. I like to quote this leadership guru a lot. It's on page 5 in your document. And Warren Bennis really made the distinction between leaders and managers, in my mind. A very important distinction. It's right there at the top of page 5. He noticed in his research and in his work with leaders and managers that what set them apart was leaders were doing the right things. He had all kinds of managers who were doing things right, but unfortunately they tended to be doing the wrong thing very well. So if you're going by the policy really needs to be updated. You could be managing, you're doing things right. But the right thing is to go to the senior management and say, that policy is having this impact on the organization. Feels a little risky. That's the nature of leadership, doing the right thing. There are managers who are keeping an inappropriate employee on their team for all kinds of reasons. One of them is so when things go wrong, we can kick old Bill. And that's doing the wrong thing very well. The right thing is help old Bill find another job. Do everything you can to help him not be on the team. Because it's not fair to Bill, it's not fair to everybody else, it's not about your results, it's the wrong thing. The right thing is to take extra time to follow through, go the extra mile to help Bill find a new job. The rest of the team members are then going to say, what a great leader. Bill was struggling. And Tori helped Bill find another place. Okay, so that's the right thing kind of piece. The other part to leaders doing the right things is it starts with you. It starts with the self. So what are some of the right things that you need to do in order to be the horse in front of the cart? The horse that leads the team in front of the cart, kind of that analogy. So what are some self-right things that are on the list here? What do you need to do in terms of a skill, a learning piece, change? Or what are you doing right now that is a right thing? What are some of the examples that you can come up with? What are some right things for about self-leadership, personality? Top role in the organization today.
Willing to change.
Yeah, leading self. Okay, good. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not just about the willingness, right?
It's accepting change, willing to change.
Accept it and move with change. Right? It's not just, accept and move. So willingness is a good start, right? I know a lot of people are willing to lose weight, but, or whatever, or willing to quit smoking. But accept and move with change. Okay, and that's for yourself. Okay, so that could be, and of course, others are watching you, so you're role modeling that. What's another good role model thing to do? If you're the leader and you expect others to do it, what should you be doing to be sure that it's a realistic and fair expectation?
Proactive. So you take leadership, if something needs to be done, you take the, you know, it's not your job, you'll go ahead and do it.
Okay, so address problems. Don't sweep them under the rug or something like that. Okay, but for the self, what about the self? How does that tie into oneself?
Well, you're willing to lead, you're taking on the role that, so it's part of leadership. So you're the type of person.
Okay, and it starts with that self-awareness, because I think it's tell the truth about yourself, first of all. If there is a problem in my leadership, know what it is. And in fact, I'm going with the self piece here. Obviously, leading others, yeah, if there's a problem in the organization, tell the truth about yourself. What do we ask other people to do in terms of their personal leadership? What are some of the things we expect them to do as, not as tasks, but as how they can organize the work? Suzanne?
I just think reflecting, an active reflecting process of how are things going, where am I at with that work today.
Some planning needs, eh? If I make the reflecting and planning. Okay, so good. So with self-leadership, definitely, reflection and planning before you jump into the lead. Think about what you want to lead. It's kind of like communication. Before you communicate, before you say what you think about what you're going to say. So planning your communication, planning where do we go next. So that reflection around self. Planning your own. Your personal goals is I think, a good example that I've seen there in leadership excellence, because we certainly expect other people to have personal goals. What are ours? And notice if you have personal goals, then you're managing your time, your priorities to get to those goals. So there's a whole piece here on leading self is, it used to be called time management. Time inexorably ticks by. What are we actually managing?
Ourselves.
What are we managing? Our activities, yeah. So it's activity and priority management. And the activity, another word for an activity is an action as part of a goal. So activity, priority management is a very important aspect of leading yourself, because now, when you lead others, you're skilled at it, among other things. You're walking the talk. That's called doing the right thing. Doing the wrong thing is, say this, do something different. So that goes back to that consistency piece. How about leading others? What are some of the right things around leading others? You may not feel comfortable with. I mentioned a couple already. What are some of the other, some of the key things you want to do?
I just go back to leading yourself. I think that's what I've found. Sorry.
One part of that is what is.
What I've found to be invaluable is to have somebody that has a 1,000-foot view on not only the greater role that I play in community, but also in my role, and that I can turn to for mentorship. So as a leader, I've always got to be looking to other leaders or mentors that can help guide me to stay on focus and on track. And
I think that's a great example. Leading self is about, choose a mentor. Because it can get pretty lonely sometimes, and who is that person who can help me? Yeah, good one.
Positive reinforcement rather than
yes.
Seeing out what they're doing wrong, reinforce what they're doing.
Leading others, exactly. Positive reinforcement, recognize success, right? And there's a flip side of that too, and that is when there is an inappropriate behavior or result, recognizing that as well. I'm going to add that in there. Positive reinforcement, what do you call that when you correct? What's your term for that? When you correct action. It's the right thing there. When you help somebody get back on track. Behavior change, coaching.
I would normally call it just the opportunity to see if they're open to coaching, or to some constructive feedback that doesn't demoralize them, that still brings them.
Feedback is one of the terms that I've seen out there. That's sort of what there are various terms. Let's call it that way. But it's constructive, supportive feedback. The idea being, notice when there's a problem, the employee who has the problem knows it. In fact, they're kind of feeling like, here I am, the employee, and I've got this problem hung around my neck. Very uncomfortable situation. So it's your job as the problem doesn't go away, is to separate the problem from the person. So here's you, the boss, and the employee on this side of the table, together, looking at the problem. It's their job to solve the problem, or to take the action to solve it. But you're there to support them. So this constructive feedback is, I recognize there's a problem. This is what I expected. This is what's happening. Let's talk about it. Tell me your point of view. What really happened? Probably not a bad way to approach it. We expected this, that. You were there. I wasn't. What happened? Right? And then that allows the employee to realize that you're there to support them rather than police them. Which is another attitudinal piece here, which is, it's kind of what you just said, Joanne, and it was or Sue, sorry, and it was the idea of what the term was, supportiveness, the coach for success. Too many of us, especially people like me who are in their 60s, were raised in a paradigm of police for failure. That's doing the wrong thing very well. And the last page in your handout gives you a nice list there of what are they, policing for failure versus coaching for success behaviors. So leading the organization, what are some right things? Let's get 2 or 3 up here. What are some right things? If you're leading the organization, what do you have to do? Say, what has to happen?
We find with certain employees sometimes, they're not good at moving from one building to another. They can be very good at this building. Mm-hmm. And so you learn their strengths and weaknesses to where they're best fit.
Excellent. Yeah, so leading the organization, again, it's about sort of your team, and you can change that around a little bit. It's sort of team structures that work, right? Not just because they've always been on the same team, but team structures and then just maximizing the effectiveness. Yeah. Max the effectiveness of your teams. And there will be change. So leading the organization, going to your idea, Bill, as well, is leading change. Yeah. Rather than letting the person say, oh, I can't go there, but actually you do need them to change in terms of widening their skills and their confidence, not just their skills. Eh? So helping that person change internally, which helps the organization then change. Because your customers aren't going to wait for your employee to get around to the level of confidence. So you help them get there. Good one, Tori.
Something that I was actually thinking about leading self. Mm-hmm. The reflection, planning, personal goals. Yeah. But I think ultimately, if you're going to lead the organization, that did with eyes open too, right? Yes. So, not just once a year, but all through the year, when you're getting all that feedback from your team, and you're sitting down and reflecting about what they've given you, and like re-examining the vision. Where should the organization be going? Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of this, and it's sort of like it trickles down, obviously.
Yeah, I think it is in leading the organization, strategic focus. But then, yes, leadership is a cascade. So if you've done a good job around keeping people tied to the strategic focus, and that probably does go back in here, certainly this leading the self is, have a personal vision, and then the vision for the organization. So the vision piece is in here for sure. And by having internalized that and understood it as the leader, you can now communicate it and help develop others and lead others through that communication process, and then how your tasks produce the vision. And then leading the organization by going back to revisiting the strategic plan. And then how does each person fit? Right? Traveling beyond? Because that's part of that.
Yeah, I think it's all the piece.
Mm-hmm. Okay, strategic focus is, and it's personal fit, right? Individual fit. If people know where they fit in that strategic plan, in that strategic vision, man, that's a powerful job done in terms of doing the right thing.
So group meetings, training?
Yeah, leading the organization. Teams, the most learning happens in teams. Yeah. So learning opportunities. Because otherwise you're just going on what people always did, which is the definition of insanity. If you always do what you always did and expect different results, it's kind of nuts, right? You got to do something different.
It's also creating an atmosphere of security.
Yeah.
So meaning, you're creating an atmosphere, you're a leader to be trusted, but you're also creating that culture within your organization.
Yes.
So
Yes.
really, when
Change that
you're
now.
leading the organization, it's creating a place where people feel valued and they feel secure in what they bring, because you created that, yeah.
Yeah, now, job security is one of those terms, right? So building a culture of, sort of personal self-confidence is maybe another way to put it, because jobs come and go, right? And so it's certainly, job for life is certainly not the security you're referring to. But that personally self-confident person, they can roll with the change. They're going to know about it too, as soon as it affects them, because leading change is you let people know as soon as possible what's coming. In fact, through your learning processes, you're keeping an eye on what's coming down the pipe relative to new treatments or whatever situation. Okay, I think we're at the end of our hour. So we've got maybe a couple of minutes, a couple of comments, and then I'm going to more or less wrap up here. I think it is. Sue, you've got one more.
I don't know, what stands out for me is probably most of us here know the whole Steve Jobs story, right?
Yes, Steve Jobs
And
story.
I had the opportunity to watch the movie, play, and I didn't really know the whole story of Steve Jobs. I heard his speech, but how he virtually destroyed the company.
Oh, yes, that piece.
Because of his own ego. And, he had to be willing to, he was fired and had to step back and do a lot of reflection, a lot of time, and he had to allow the people to feel empowered and, to really be able to lead where they were gifted at their leading and have a good time doing it. Yeah. And the same as Schultz from Starbucks, his story, right? Came and started the company, left, came back.
Martha, what's her name, is also in that list of people who reinvented.
Yeah.
Martha, the home.
Martha Stewart, yeah.
What's her last name?
Stewart.
Yeah, that one. I recently saw these. Okay, we're close to wrap up. I want to have a couple of questions just before we do that. At the bottom of page 6, there's a place. Behavior change. Some of this is about behavior change. If you're going to take anything up a notch, it could be just that much. It doesn't have to be too dramatic. If it's a huge new habit, allow 6 weeks. And a lot of commitment goes with that. Bottom of page 6, if you could record for yourself at least one tentative goal around improving your leadership. I've mentioned coaching, but it could be anything here. Any aspect of your leadership that you want to commit to and put a target date. And for your information, you're still a long way towards doing that if you write it down. So take it, I'm literally 30 seconds right now. Pick one tentative goal that's crossed your mind today. What do I want to do differently in order to get a better result, or at least a different result in my leadership? And that doesn't allow 10 minutes for questions, but it allows a minute. So take literally 30 seconds right now and record something. And while you're doing that, I'll wrap up. The very last page shows you a flow chart of our the leadership program that I referred to a couple of times. There's sort of 12 lessons there. That's what that's. And it starts with you, then others in the organization. It's the teams that produce your results, not you. Right? So this is about leading the people that get you to where you want to go. So that little piece about yourself, to lead those teams, is the piece that I wanted you to record. And if you have a question that we don't cover off today, please phone me or write to me, and we'll talk about it on my time. Okay, so don't worry about any commitments or obligations around that. Do we have 2 minutes yet, Kat?
Maybe what we'll do is do the formal wrap up, and anybody who wants to stay for questions can do that.
That works for me. Okay. Yeah, sure. What's your formal wrap up and go for it?
Well, on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, thank you for coming, Jim. We really appreciate it. It's a great seminar. People on Twitter right now asking me to take pictures of the whiteboards and send it out to them. So, yeah, congratulations. Thank you very much. And thank you to everybody else for coming out tonight. Look forward to this afternoon, I guess. A little bit left. So hopefully we'll see you next month. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you to Beth.